I am basically a photographer, and initially I started with doing photography, and I never thought I would be doing. I mean, I do a lot of other types of photography as well. I do event photography, I do travel photography, I also do documentaries, and food and product is something that I really enjoy doing. So initially, when I started off with photography, I was just taking up any projects that came my way. I did not think, मुझे यही type का photography करना है या ये नहीं करना है. So I was just exploring, and I was taking up anything that was coming my way. And so my like initially one of my client happened to be into making chocolates, and I didn't know anything about food photography. I just said, okay, let's do this, and let's explore and see what comes up. So I took up the project, and I used to do shoots for her without. I knew the photography and the technical bit of it, the lighting and how to use my camera, what sort of settings work. But when it came to food photography or even product photography, there is a lot of styling that goes into picture. So I had no idea about it, and whenever I saw my pictures and I compared it to all these amazing people on Instagram who are like really good food photographers, their work was like amazing, and I was thinking, what is missing? So styling was something that was missing in my work. Yeah. So so over the years I learned styling, from here and there, watching a lot of YouTube videos, going for different workshops, with attending workshops that were conducted by different stylists. So I'm just going to share how you can go about your food photography, and this is going to be a very beginner thing. But these are some essential tools that you need to know when you're just starting off. Yeah, and so I think you can. I'm just going to check if you guys are able to. Okay, I'm just going to share my screen. Yeah. So are you guys able to view this presentation that I've shared?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. So we will be taking question towards the end, right, Aditi?
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah,
Mamta.
perfect. Okay, perfect. Yeah. So whenever first thing that whenever we see good food pictures, we are always seeing, oh wow, this is so amazing. It looks perfect. The styling is great. But whenever you are shooting anything for that matter, always ask yourself, what is it that I want to communicate through my picture? Okay, and what is my subject? So your subject could be like one specific dish that you're shooting, or it could be like two different dishes that you're going to shoot, right? So ask yourself, what is your subject, and what do I want to communicate through this picture? So by what I mean by saying what I want to communicate is what sort of mood that you want to communicate. Yeah, so all these things, or even like what sort of setting that you want to communicate. Yeah, so these are like two important questions that you need to ask yourself. Yeah. So I am just going to go about like some essential composition techniques that you need to start off with. One of the important techniques is the golden triangle. Okay. So what is golden triangle? I'll just explain. Yeah. So basically, before even I start talking about the golden triangle, I want you to know ki, what is golden, like why do we even use composition, and why does composition is something which is very important, not just photography, but when it comes to styling also. Because what happens when you do shooting food, especially, is it's not just the styling or how you're going to present your food that is going to look uh, great, but the composition, the way you are going to place the different elements in your food image is something that is going to make or break your a good food image, right? And why? So there are different types of composition techniques that we photographers use, and I'm going to share two of like important techniques that are used in food photography. Yeah, so this is something. So what does composition do? Basically, composition helps the eye of the viewer to be drawn through the image, right? And it also helps you to place an important element and important element, and also like also helps you to tell a story. It also helps to create a balance within an image. So whenever we are shooting a good food image, we're trying to create a balance and harmony within the image so that it looks pleasing to the eye. Yeah, so the golden triangle is something very simple. Basically, you can see this imaginary uh, lines. So these grids are not actually there on your camera or your phone camera, but this is something that we intuitively do while we are styling something. Yeah, so it basically means that whenever you're shooting, especially in vertical or even in horizontal, if you're shooting in a horizontal format, uh, so draw a 90-degree line from both ends of the image, and the image meets right at the center. Yeah, first what you have to do is you have to draw a line which cuts the image into half in a triangular shape, and then there are these two intersecting lines which come from the end of the image. Yeah, and where these 2 points intersect is where you place your important elements. Yeah, and now for this one particular image, this dish is my main dish, right? And this is something that goes along with this dish. Okay, and that's why we have placed the main dish in a larger plate and this in a smaller plate, right? So whenever we are styling, we have to remember first thing, what is my main subject. So main subject mostly always comes in a larger dish, and what are the other elements that go with the dish, so those come in like a smaller bowls and plates. So why do we do this? Because our main focus and attention is our main dish that we are shooting, right? So this is one example of how I have placed used the golden triangle to place my elements. And on the right, then there's another image where so this is a flat lay on the left, and this the other image that you see, the drink one with the roses. So this is the a vertical shot that we have shot. So this is basically a 45-degree angle that we have shot at. We look at what it means, the different angles that you can shoot at later. But these are like two examples to understand what this is. Okay, and so it's you can also place elements around it, and it is not like the point of this. Just a sec. Yeah. So the point of this triangle is basically to place your main element at the intersecting points. Yeah. So just checking in if everyone is able to follow till here.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So just one thing, why the golden triangle works, it's because it helps the eye move from one point to another, and it creates a sort of continuity for the viewer to look at. Then second important thing in food photography is figure to ground. So figure to ground is one of the techniques or rules that is used in photography per se. But we also use it in food photography because a lot of time I've seen beginner photographers start off their work, and they have sometimes you're starting off and you don't know why the image is not working out. It happens because there are a lot of distractions in your image. So what is the figure to ground? So figure is basically your main subject. Like in this, there are these two popsicles that are my main subject. Yeah, and ground is the background that's there. Yeah. So what the figure to ground means is basically you should always create a separation between your subject and your background, right? Doing this, it enables you to bring your main subject into highlight. Yeah, and so the background does not distract, and whenever you look at the image, there is just your main subject that is, bang on right there in focus. Okay. So, how do we so one way to achieve like a good figure to ground is to avoid any cluttered background. So, whenever you're using any background, make sure that, so one thing you have to make sure what is the color of the food item that you're going to shoot. And depending on that, select your backdrop. Okay. And for example, in this picture over here that I shot of the popsicles, so we had like two different colors. So one was like a red color, the other was like the green color on the popsicle, and like the colors really looked great. Okay, had I used, now there are already two colors within my image, and if I would have added another color to the image, the look of this, the way it is popping out, would have gotten lost. Yeah, so that's why I just chose a plain white, not a plain white background, but a textured white background, and to shoot, because what is happening with the texture, the texture is adding a bit of, depth to the image, because plain rehta to it wouldn't have looked that interesting. So that's why whenever I'm using any backdrop, I'm using a good textured backdrop. And I'll also show some of the backdrops later on to you guys that you can use. So yeah, basically in this image, I use like a good textured backdrop, and then we've placed the two the popsicles inside the glasses, and styled it that way. Yeah. So anyone has any questions on these two techniques? I'm just going to check in.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, hi, Monali this side.
Hi, Monali. Yeah.
Yeah, so you mentioned about the backdrops, right? So I just wanted to know, like, how basically what are the backdrops? Meaning, the one which I can see in this picture, it's of a gray color, right? So is it like, a paper kind of thing or a cardboard? Like, what to
Yeah.
use
Yeah.
exactly?
Yeah. 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 So I will be showing some backdrops. So in this picture exactly, this is the top part that you can see, the white texture thing. That is a chart paper. So you get these
Mm-hmm.
texture chart paper backdrops, and these are basically paper, nothing else, but they are textured
Okay.
paper. Yeah, and they're quite thick. So
Mm-hmm.
I have been
Okay,
using
okay.
them for quite long, and they have been, working out for me. And the bottom part is a
Okay.
MDF board. So we get these boards. Like there are people who paint these sort of backdrops that you see at the bottom. So this was I had gotten made from someone who had like painted backdrop. So only one like one drawback of like both have their different drawbacks, because with chart paper it gets
Mm.
wet and messy very quickly, and it's difficult to keep for a long time.
Right.
And so these are MDF boards. They are quite sturdy, but to carry them along, it's a bit of a task. So yeah. So I just have like one or two of them,
Yeah.
which I use only for like bigger shoots when I have. Yeah,
Okay, okay.
awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, yeah, moving on to natural light. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about like we spoke of two composition techniques. Yeah, one was like the golden triangle, and the other was figure to ground. And okay, there's one more technique I wanted to share, which I'm going to show in the demo. So sorry, I just forgot that. Um, yeah. So there is So this is another technique which is really great and works for all the food that you would be shooting, and it's also very easy. Um so this is basically called the styling with the S curve. Yeah. So what we do in S curve is you place your elements in an S form. It doesn't necessarily have to be like a perfect S, but whatever your main elements are there, it is supposed to form a curve. Yeah. So what the S curve does is that it leads the viewer through your image, and it places like the most important elements on the if my main important elements are these two glasses and the drink that's the tea that's there in the glasses, right? And that's why I have placed it on the curve that you can see, and the other elements are obviously there around the curve, but it is you have to make sure that only the main elements that are there to be placed on the curve, right? Yeah. I'm just going to check the chat. There are a few things, so please bear with me. Also keep relate photography with food blogging photography, as it is not possible to get light color background in every restaurant or hotel. Okay, I've not really got this question. Okay, so I think,
Hello,
yeah,
Mamta, can I interrupt you? Yeah, actually, the photo that I can see right now on the screen, can I know what background did you use for this? Is it a chart
yeah,
paper or is it some kind of
yeah.
cloth
So
or
this
what?
is a chart paper, and this is what I'm going to style also today. So it's easy to understand.
Okay,
Yeah, and I chose tea
okay, thank
today.
you.
Yeah, I actually wanted to show some other dish and not style tea today, but just had a lot of like time discrepancies, due to which I chose to style like a small tea, because that was like the most easiest and quickest to make people understand. Yeah. So moving on.
Right.
Yeah. So I have known that a lot of people who are here, you guys mostly use your phones to shoot, and if you have DSLR, that's great. But our phone cameras are really good enough to get that enable us to shoot good images. Yeah, and I myself use sometimes my phone camera when I don't have access to my DSLR when I'm outdoors. Sometimes what happens, we are clicking pictures, and although we have like really great cameras, our image does not have, like, sometimes it happens that something is not working out. And in most situations, it is the lighting that is not working out for us. Yeah. So I'm going to cover mostly natural light, because even because that is something that it's easily available free of cost, and artificial light is something that it's more about like when you get into professional photography that you would need to know. But so I'm going to talk about natural light, and natural light is the easiest light that you can use to shoot good food pictures. Yeah. So there are two elements that you need to understand in natural light. One is direct, and the second is diffuse light. Okay. So direct sunlight is when the sunlight is directly falling onto an object, and it creates a sort of harsh shadows. And so basically, direct light is the light that we see during summers. Yeah, you see there are no clouds that will, cover the light. The sunlight falls directly onto something. So one exercise that you guys can do is start observing how light falls um, during the day, like during different times of the day. So in the morning, if you see, the light falls differently. In the afternoon, the light is different. Evenings again, it changes. Now it is the rainy season, so at this time throughout the day we have like just one type of lighting. Yeah. So remembering first thing, direct light is when the sun is falling directly onto any object. Yeah. And mostly when we are doing food photography and I am using like natural light to shoot something, I always move my setup towards the window. Yeah. So when I'm moving towards the window, क्या होता है कभी कभी we get like some people, like some houses get direct sunlight directly into their houses, right? So direct sunlight is something when the sunlight is directly falling onto your subject. Now coming to diffuse light. So diffuse light is when if suppose you are indoors and you're shooting next to a window and there is good amount of light that's coming into your house, but it is not like a direct light that is falling onto your subject. So basically what happens in diffuse light is the sunlight outside is hitting different surfaces and it is bouncing off from those surfaces and then coming into your house. Yeah, it's basically the kind of light you see on a maybe a rainy day or even a day when the sky is overcast. So what happens when the sky is overcast? If you have the sun in between, and then the clouds will come, and the clouds will create a sort of like a diffusion box around the sun. So the light of the sun is not directly falling; it is passing through the clouds and then falling, and that's why it looks different. Yeah, so I'm just going to show how my natural light setup looks like. Yeah, so there is on the right, you see this is the window from where the light is falling, and this is like the subject that we have. So what happens, the light, usually what we do, the light falls either this way or even when the light falls directly this way, the other left portion of the subject, it becomes usually dark, right? So what we do basically is we keep a reflector. So reflector is nothing but just a material that reflects the light onto a subject. So क्या होता है इसमें कि basically the light is coming, light which comes from here, it bounces on this reflector, and from this reflector it bounces back onto the subject. So this is what is happening. Yeah, and in photography we use like those large reflectors. I can show you one. In case you do not have a reflector, you can choose anything that is white in color, anything that will reflect bounce back light. Okay, so you can either use a thermocol sheet or a white color reflective surface if you would have, or even if nothing, you can also use like a big steel plate to reflect light back. Yeah. So why do I even use this setup? It's basically क्या होता है कभी कभी if my subject is somewhere over here and the light is coming from my window, but a part of the light which is like the left portion of the subject, it becomes dark. That's why to fill in the light and to bring some more amount of light onto that subject is why we use a reflector. Yeah. So I'm just going to check if anyone has any questions on light. Then we can take that right now. Yeah. So I think no questions yet. So maybe we can move.
Guys,
Yeah, so there's one.
mute yourselves and then ask your questions.
Okay, so there's one question. What can we do in the rainy season for perfect light? Yeah. So I'm just going to show you reflector here very quickly. So this is a, I hope everyone can see, this is a really huge reflector that I have. And it comes in like two different sheets. So this is a golden color uh, fabric that's there, and then there's another end which has like a silver color fabric inside. So especially when you're shooting during rainy season, what I always do is I move my setup towards the window. My window is over here. I'll always take my setup towards the window and shoot. Yeah. So this big reflector that you just saw, it works really great even when you have like least amount of light, especially when you are shooting during the rainy season. Yeah. And yeah, so one thing to get like really good light is always shoot just next to your window. Because if you're shooting indoors and thoda, even if you're a little bit away from your window, you're not going to get a great light. Yeah. So always shoot towards near to your window. And if you have, always raise your platform wherever you're shooting, raise the platform slightly so that you're getting good amount of light. Open all the windows and curtains completely so that nothing, not even little, like you get to use the maximum amount of light that you can. Yeah. So yeah, so there are three angles that you can shoot at. So first is the eye level. So usually, like when we even I did this mistake a lot of time, that whenever I started shooting earlier, I had not known ki, I was just shooting like whatever. I used to try all these different angles, and whatever angle like towards the end of the day worked. Whenever I put my pictures into my onto my computer, and whichever angle looked great, then I would select those pictures, but I was not knowing what sort of angle I was shooting at. In doing this, क्या होता था कि a lot of time, like I really wasted a lot of time, in shooting multiple angles, and then after all, like selecting towards the end the best angle that would work. So knowing that what the like these three angles really helps to understand ki which like in the start only to know ki which angle will work out for me. Yeah. And then you're not wasting time to shoot like from 10 different angle upar niche karke. You're shooting these three different angles, and you then select the image that works for you. Yeah. So first is the eye level. Can't see the angle side. Yeah, you guys can see the slide, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect. Yeah. So first is the eye level. It is also called the straight on level. Eye level does not mean the R level of our own eyes. It basically means going to the level, eye level of your subject. Yeah. Now, for example, in this particular picture, this was styled. I had kept these chocolates on a table, which were like slightly lower to my lower from where I was seeing. Yeah, so I had to really bend down and shoot the like to even to see these layers. I had to bend down, go to the level of where the chocolates were placed, and then shoot. So it basically means that your eyes are at the level of what your subject is. Okay, so that means shooting at eye level. So what does the eye level do? It is great when you're shooting sandwiches, when you're shooting something which has layers, like a burger or like mostly burgers, like a stack of chocolates, or even desserts, especially cakes and pastries if you're shooting. So the eye level works great when you have to show details of what has gone into making something, what are the different layers that are there in this particular food item. And then we have the 90-degree angle, top angle, and the famously known as flat lays. Yeah. So flat lays is nothing but just shooting from top. And so why the flat lays work also, it's because it quickly, tells, especially if you are shooting something and you want to show like the ingredients that have gone into making a particular food item, it is the quickest way to do that. Flat angle also, creates like an element of like interest. It is something that looks really attractive when you're doing. So flat lay is one thing to keep in mind. In food photographs, sometimes flat lays do not work. Yeah, the reason why is because flat lays work only when you have something of like your food is, if you're shooting say a pizza, is when you can use a flat lay. Yeah, but if I'm going to shoot say if I'm shooting um a burger or a sandwich, I'm not going to shoot it in flat lay, because that will only just show the top portion of the food item. Yeah, and do I really want to only show the top portion of that particular food item? Yeah, so whenever you're shooting flat lay, you have to make sure that the top part of your food is of interest. Yeah, and also with the flat lay, the easiest thing that happens is that you can place ingredients very quickly around it, and to help it look aesthetic. Yeah. Also, when you're shooting these different angles, you have to keep in mind the different the composition techniques that we spoke of. Yeah. So, like those, the composition techniques are your guiding lines to how you can, style using. Like, if suppose I'm again in this image, if you see, like there are like the main subject is placed on the triangle. I mean, it is not like perfect nahi hai, it is not necessarily it is meeting at the point of interest, but it is somewhere placed around like the golden triangle. Yeah, and then the other elements are placed around it. Yeah, again there is figure to ground also, when, because if you see, this board is trying to create an element of interest, but it is not interfering with my main subject. Yeah, and it is complementing the background also that I'm using. So this is the top angle, and now the most important angle that we use in food photography, it is say a 45 degree. Yeah, and you can also like shoot somewhere between 25 to 75 degree. This is the angle where my top portion and also the bottom part of my food is visible. Yeah, so that's the 45-degree angle. And I think it's almost, yeah, it's almost time, and we can move to the demo right now. So I'm just going to stop sharing. And meantime, if anyone has any questions, so keep your questions ready. So once the demo is done, then we can take a look at the questions. Yeah. So I'm just going to put my camera off for 2 minutes, because I'll just have to set up again.
Guys, since the live demo is going to start, please switch on your cameras, because even Mamta would want to know how much you guys are understanding and if we are all are at the same page. And meanwhile, I'll take the screenshots also, which I'll be sharing with you all on the group for the deliverables. Awesome. Thank you, everyone. In case if anybody is feeling shy, in order to switch on the cameras, please put a DP. That'll work too. I won't force everyone. But yeah, thank you all who have just switched on their cameras. Thank you so much.
I'm just going to check if everyone's able to see this. Aditi, if you can just give me a heads up, if my screen is visible properly.
I think you need to tilt it a little bit down because it's not very clear. I can see the table partially.
Okay. So wait, I'm just going to, I think just give me a minute. I'm
Sure, sure, sure.
sorry. Set this up. Uh, yeah. So basically, I thought I will place this on the tripod and do, but it was not working out. I hope you guys are able to see right now. Yeah.
Yes, 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 Mamta.
So
Yes, we can.
again, I've just taken like very simple these lemongrass tea that I prepared at home, and I place them in really like cool looking glasses. If you see from the side, this is how the glasses look. Yeah. And so the backdrop that I'm using, it's basically a chart paper. Yeah, it's nothing. It's just like a very simple chart paper. Why I choose to show the demo on a chart paper is because it's something that is easily available to everyone at home. Yeah, so I just place the chart paper on a on a table, and this is my yeah. So first thing I'm going to show how you can create like the S curve that we saw using this styling. So I have my teas over here. So yeah, I'm going to use some basil leaves because why we add garnish is because it adds a sort of freshness to the whole image that we are shooting. Because now if you see the scene really it looks pale and it looks it looks uninteresting. Yeah. So first I'll take my glasses, I'll place them. So what I'm trying to do is I'm going to create like a S curve, something like this. Yeah, so I need to get my, again, this glass more towards the center. Yeah, so I have, kept, if you see, a lot of fresh basil leaves and also lemon that would go along with the tea. So whenever you are, in this case, I'm shooting tea and, lemons and basils is something that, these are things that go as garnish and add sort of visual interest to the whole picture, and that's why I use this. Okay. I intended to use mint leaves, but they were not easily available. So I just thought maybe for the demo, I'll use the basil leaves. Yeah. So this is how I would, generally style something. Yeah. So whenever you guys are using garnish, make sure that it looks fresh. It is not something which is you looks pale or something. Yeah. So I'm just going to add this on top of the drink. Yeah, something like this. Yeah. So today I'm doing the styling all by myself. Usually I have one more person to help me out to do this. So now if you see our image still looks empty. So I have like some lemongrass that I'm going to place along towards the end of my frame. Yeah, because after all, it's a lemongrass tea, and I want to show you, this is what that has gone into making this tea. Yeah, so I think and then I'm still going to add some fresh leaves here and there. And when I'm adding, you have to make sure that you're not doing too much of it also, right? Whenever we are clicking a food image, we have to make sure that the image looks well balanced. Yeah. Maybe somewhere on the sides. Yeah. So now even I could add like some lemons on the glass itself. Yeah, these are just, there's a slight slit on the lemon, and then I'm going to place it on the glasses. Yeah. So when see, now this is something which is, I'm going to place it along the S curve and going to shoot it right at the center. Yeah. So if you see the lemon is here, and from here it forms a curve like this. Yeah. And if I have to shoot this particular thing again in a different styling, what I will do is basically, if I see the golden triangle, then I'm going to try and move around my glasses and see which way it looks better. Okay. So I'm using mostly the vertical style because that is mostly that I use in my food pictures a lot, and it really works even when I have to post stuff on Instagram. Yeah, so vertical size is something that I like shooting at. Now this space looks empty, so I'm just going to add like some element over here. Yeah, and then yeah. Now if you see, when I say golden triangle is where this is meeting at a point, and this is again meeting at another point. Yeah. So I'm going to also show what happens when I get a reflector into the picture. Yeah, so just give me a second. Yeah. I'm just going to check in if you guys are able to make the difference with when I get a reflector into picture. You see, when I remove the reflector, this is how the image looks. Yeah. And when I get the reflector, this is how the image looks. Yeah. If you can tell me if you're able to actually see the difference. If you're not, then we'll have to work something out. So let me know if you are able to see the difference with and without the reflector. Okay, you can see the difference. Okay. Yeah.
Mamta, you're on mute. We cannot hear you. In case if you're speaking, you're on mute.
Oops. Sorry, guys. Yeah. So the earlier one, this was something without the reflector. Okay. And just see the shadows over here. What difference the reflector makes. This is how I've added the reflector, and you see the shadows have reduced. Yeah. Okay. So I'm just going to quickly get back. Yeah. I don't know, for some reason I'm still not able to keep my video on.
Is it happening from both the cameras that you're using?
No, now it's better. Yeah.
Yes. Now we can see you. Mamta, I would just like you
Yeah.
to explain our bloggers about what kind of an impact or what kind of a difference they observed while you did all that when you used reflectors and when you removed them, because they are a
Mhm.
little confused in order to understand what actually happened. What was the actual difference that was made?
Yeah. So with the reflector, what happens is, but I'll just show it to you guys.
Sure.
Yeah. So now where I'm sitting, if you see my left part of my face, it's bright because the light is coming from here, right? Now if I add like a reflector and it's right here, you see the difference, what it does? Yeah. It's making this part of my face also bright. Yeah. So most of the times when especially we are shooting from our phone cameras, this is the problem that happens, the lighting is not correct. So just adding like a say small reflector, if even if you're shooting at a restaurant, and you do not have like much light, it's always better to maybe move towards a window. And then most of the restaurants have these white plates that they use. So a white plate is again you can use as a reflector as well. Yeah, especially if you are going to meet someone at the restaurant and you're going to blog about them, and I'm sure they will not say no to using the place because they want to use want to have like really good pictures to use. Yeah. So yeah. So so I think we can take questions right now. So I don't know if I hope you guys were like able to understand and get like the most part of what we are trying to do over here. And if any questions are there, please do ask because that will help me understand. कि जो मैं बोल रही हूँ वो समझ रहा है नहीं समझ रहा है, and where are you guys at? And I also want that you guys understand understand what we are trying to do with this. Yeah.
Sure,
Yeah, I
Sakib,
think
please go
Sakib.
ahead.
Yeah.
Hi, Mamta. Lovely workshop. I
Thank
had
you.
this one question. I've been hearing a lot about this one term called the golden hour. So, can you help us at what exactly is the golden hour?
Yeah.
When can we shoot that? What
Yeah.
time, basically?
Yeah.
Thank
So,
you.
golden hour is something that is not necessary when we are shooting food photos. Golden hour is the time of the evening. It is called golden because the evening time, if you see, the light which we get is like oranges, golden in color. Yeah. That is the best light to shoot at because क्या होता है कि उसमें as I said, the sunlight is not falling directly. Yeah. And the sunlight falls evenly on the whole scene that you're shooting, and there are no like harsh, like if you shoot in harsh light your photos will look different, and if you're shooting at the golden time, which is like say 4 to 5 o'clock 6 o'clock in the evening, where you see the lighting really looks pretty. Yeah, it's also the time when the sun is also about to set. So that light is something most photographers, especially when they are doing a documentary or a landscape photography, is why they shoot at the golden hour. Yeah, when it comes to food photography, it is not required because हम लोग mostly we are shooting indoors. Yeah, so when it comes to food photography, the best time to shoot is during the afternoons because that's the maximum light we get available. Yeah, I mean, abhi to it's like rainy season, so we do not have like much light available, but otherwise afternoons are a great time to shoot at. Yeah.
And guys, this was one of those reasons why we kept our session at this point in time today,
Yeah.
so that we can get ample of light and then we can do this session so that even you guys can understand it better.
Yeah. So, yeah, actually we kept it at this time also, but I thought, there will be like maximum light. But today, since like yesterday and today, it has been raining really heavy in Mumbai. So I think even if we would have, shifted our session at 6 o'clock, then it would have got really dark outside. Yeah. So
Right.
at least now we have like a good time. So Sakib has another question, is that the ideal, but the afternoon has really harsh light, right? Yeah. Afternoon has a harsh light. But if you are going to shoot from your window, yeah, you're not going to, in case your window does not give a direct light, yeah, whenever, abhi if you see, the light actually bounces off through different surfaces and then comes inside my house. Yeah, and that's how it's going to fall onto something. Yeah. In case you have, if your window say there is like direct sunlight falling into your subject or whatever surface you're shooting, one thing that is a very like a jugadu thing that you can do, use like a muslin cloth or and like a white translucent cloth or any white translucent material, so that acts like a diffuser. So basically क्या होता है, when there is direct light coming from the sun, the clouds act like a diffuser when there's an overcast sky. Yeah, so you can use like a muslin cloth and just hang it on to your window sill कहीं पे, and that will block the light. Yeah.
Guys, please unmute yourselves and then ask questions. That will be better.
Hi, Mamta.
Hi.
This is Priya this side.
Okay. I think there
Am
are.
I audible?
Yeah, Priya. Yes. Go on.
Yeah, actually, my question was that I generally use my phone to do the photography. photography. So are there any specific settings in the phone? As I'm very amateur to this camera thing, so
Yeah.
are there any specific settings in phone that you would like recommend? I own a OnePlus 6, so in that, if you could help.
Okay. Okay. So in your phone, usually क्या होता है कि we already have like when you're shooting, the phone camera automatically compensates light when there is little light. But when you're shooting and you want the control to be in your hand, if you just go and click onto your professional mode of your camera, yeah, and you see all these different options
Okay.
that you get.
Yeah, there's like this
Yeah.
ISO and all that. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So ISO is something that you can bump. Basically, what happens when you increase the ISO, it has values from say 100, 200, 400, 800, 1600 and
yeah.
something like that. Yeah. So when what ISO does, ISO is your digital brightness of your camera. Yeah. So when you are
Okay.
increasing the ISO, the more ISO you increase, the more light you get onto your camera sensor. Yeah, so you can try this, or if
Okay.
you can just try these few settings. Yeah. But what happens if you increase the ISO way too much? Yeah, what will happen if you go above say 1000 or 1600? Then you will start getting like those grains. You see in some images, you'll start getting grains in in your image. So an ideal ISO, in case you do not, in case you know, I think someone had asked this question earlier also, how to shoot when we are shooting in a low light situation. So you can just go to the professional mode or the manual mode of your camera. There will be ISO that you can increase. The best, like the maximum that you should increase your ISO is still 800. 800 या 1000 तक 1000 के ऊपर मत जाना, because what will happen, you'll start getting grains onto your image. Yeah. Then another setting that's there, I should have spoken about this earlier, but yeah, I did not. So there is something called as the shutter speed. Yeah. So shutter speed again, the more you increase the shutter, the less amount of light comes into your camera sensor, and the lower you go, the more amount of light comes in. If you're shooting food photograph, and if you are using an Android phone, usually iPhone ka they have like a fixed shutter speed. You can't change the shutter speed. But Android phones allow you to change the shutter speed. Yeah, shutter speed will be mentioned as SS in your professional mode, and so the lowest that you can keep your shutter speed is 100 tak. Yeah, it is. I would not recommend to keep it lower than 100. So the shutter speed ka the units will be 1/100. 1 is 2. So that means 1/100th of a second, 1/50th of a second. Yeah, so that is so the best recommended would be to keep it at 1/100th of a second and not go bit lower than that, even if you're shooting on a DSLR. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much, Mamta.
Thank you.
Hi,
Yeah.
Mamta.
Yeah. Who's this?
Hi.
Hi.
Am I
Yeah,
audible?
you're audible. Sukan. Yeah.
Yeah. So my question was, what's the use of HDR option in the phone camera?
Yeah. So what the HDR does is, I mean, it's a really vast topic. I'll try to explain it I'll try to explain it. So I hope you get it. Now, if you saw the image that we, like the item that I was trying to style, I showed you an image with and without the reflector, right? With the reflector, you could see that there were really harsh shadows that were falling onto the subject, right? अगर ये मैं HDR मोड में शूट करती हूँ, what it will do, it will try to, you know, by itself try to reduce, like increase the light of the darker parts also. Yeah. So it will try to, so there is something called as tonal range in the cameras that we shoot. Okay, so tonal range is basically the brightest and the darkest part, and also the parts which are like in between. Yeah, so any image that we shoot, it has like the darkest, it has like parts which are like, you know, properly lit, and then the part which is, which we call as overexposed. So that happens. But अगर आप HDR में shoot करते हो, what it will do, it will try to tone out and evenly, it will by itself try to compensate the light and evenly give like an even lighting wala picture to you. So that is what the HDR does.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
I think
Yeah.
we
So I think anyone.
yeah. We have questions
Hi,
from
Mamta.
Kunal. Shoaib is here. Yes, Shoaib, please ask.
Hi, Mamta. My question is regarding
Hi.
what is the possibilities? How can we take the best photos, if we don't have any direct source of light from the sun, or we usually shoot in the home
Hmm.
where there is a low light area? That means no natural light. So how can we get the best photos? Can you help with that?
Okay. Yeah. So whenever, like, I usually shoot only in natural light, because natural light में क्या होता है कि your food के जो colors है वो clearly दिख के आते हैं natural light में, and it really looks enticing and appealing to look at. I would not really recommend to shoot not in natural light, but I understand there are times कि आपके पास light available नहीं है. So you get all these, these days you get like these ring lights that are very easily available on Amazon. So maybe अगर कुछ भी नहीं है, I would suggest like you get maybe a ring light and then shoot on that light. So that will be something which will be helpful.
Can we use another mobile flashlight to give the support or something like that?
So yeah, I'm glad you asked this question. Thank you. Guys, I would not recommend you to shoot on the flashlight, because flashlight, what happens, the light क्या होता है कि basically how in sunlight the sunlight directly falls, वैसे flashlight directly falls. It is a basically white colored light, and it gives a flat image. Yeah, and what a lot of time what happens, the flashlight does not really give great colors. Yeah, sometimes it happens, sometimes it does work out, but most of the time it will give you like a flat image, and the colors of your food are not really great. So something that I would not recommend.
What if we use some other mobile flashlight and diffuse it with some muslin clothes and
Yeah,
try to shoot
yeah,
with that?
that works. Yeah, that
That
will
works for
work.
me. All
Yeah,
right,
that
thank you.
works. Yeah, try to diffuse it and you are like done.
All right, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Cool. Mamta, so on the behalf of Rebecca, I would like to ask one question. Her mic is not working. So I'll just read that out. She wants to ask, what are the basic props to invest in?
Yeah, so I have got some props. Just give me a minute. So, guys, two things I'm going to show. I'm going to show you guys the backdrops that I use, and also the props that you can invest in, which are like easy things that you can use to style your food. So, just give me a minute. Yeah. So I use a lot of different cutlery items to style, because I mean dishes are something that we do use to place our subject in, but then there are like these different cutlery items that you can use. So I use something that will be like easily available to you guys is these wooden spoons. Yeah, so these are like really tiny wooden spoons that you can you just place next to the food item that you're shooting, and these are like easily available. They're also very cheap to use. I would not recommend to use cutlery that reflects a lot. So basically, anything that is like naya steel ka spoon ya fork you're using, I would not recommend to use that if you're properly into food blogging where you're creating your own recipes and you're displaying food. So I would not recommend you to use anything that is reflective. Yeah. So just a sec. Yeah, so I have like spoons like these. These are basically brass spoons, and so what they do, they are like bit rustic, and they do not add like a lot of reflection to the whole image. Yeah, because why we use mostly brass and all these things. Even if you're using steel, make sure that the cutlery is not reflective. Because क्या होगा कि, as I said, think of what you want to communicate. Think what is your main subject. If you're going to use something that is going to reflect, it will take away attention of the viewer from what your subject is, like what your main dish is, towards what that little item that's shining on one corner. Yeah. So so these anything like non-reflective works great. Something that really looks elegant. This also has some wood, and so something like this you get in like a lot of basically in Mumbai there is Crawford Market, so you get it very easily. Again, the spoon, like these wooden spoons I use, anything that is made out of wood really looks good when you're styling food photos, because wood is not reflective. Also, though जो texture होता है wood का, it really adds like a good feel to the whole image. It adds like a warm fuzzy feeling to the food image that you're shooting. Then if you're shooting drinks or things like that, you can get these small honey dipper, and it really works great. So it's not necessary कि आपको honey ही dip करना है इसके साथ. You can use it like for chocolates also. You can use it for chocolate sauce and things like that. So this is something that really works with a lot of images. And yeah, and if you're using desserts, there's something like these. So these are like really tiny items that you get very easily. Like Crawford Market mein jab you'll get these items. Even on Amazon these days, we are finding a lot of good food items that you can that you get. Yeah, so this works great for like pizza or you're selling a dessert. Yeah, and coming to also I have like a chopping board that you can like this. So whenever you're using a prop or you're using like something like a chopping board, make sure it is not way too large and it does not take away from your from the food image that you're shooting. Yeah, so make sure it is like smaller in size and not really big. And coming to plates, again, the plating that we use for food photography is small. Yeah, it would like something this small is ideal, because क्या हो जाता है, sometimes we shoot food and if my plate is large, my food item is going to be this small onto it. It's not going to look good, because then most part of my plate is going to be empty. Yeah, so whenever you're shooting, this is a plate which is ideal size that you can use to shoot, because then your food is like the larger part of the plate is covered with the food and it does not remain empty. So that's one tip that you guys can use. Yeah. So yeah. So one more thing I have to show is textured backdrop. So this is one in brown color. I don't think you'll be able to see the texture properly of this. Let me turn this little light. Yeah. So these textured backdrops are again available in most of the. They're not available in the common stationery stores that we see around us, but they're available in most of the like art stores. For especially, I don't know about other cities. I'm from Mumbai, so for guys in Mumbai, there is a art shop in Andheri West, where it's a big art shop. So from where you can get these textured paper. You can see. Yeah. So these are the textured paper. Yeah, and I would always recommend, like, in if you're starting off, I would recommend that you get textured paper which does not have like too many different colors. So it's better to always, get a textured chart paper which is in either say white, black, brown, so something which has this one color throughout. Yeah.
Hey, Mamta, this is Janali over here.
Hey, hi, Chena. Yeah.
Yeah, can you just share the name of the place where did you get this backdrops? Like you said, somewhere in Andheri, so
So
we could
it's
actually go
called,
and buy it.
yeah, I'll just art shop. Yeah, it's called the Art Station.
Art station. Any
Yeah.
nearby landmark or something?
It is close to the metro,
Okay,
the Andheri
that's
West
cool.
Metro. I think the Warsaw Metro or the Azad Nagar Metro. So you can just the Art Station karke you can just put it on Google and you'll get the address. It's quite a famous shop. So you get most of the textured uh, chart papers from there.
And also, I wanted to know what is the ideal rate one should invest for a backdrop. Like I have seen one or
Hmm.
two. One on
Mm-hmm.
Amazon is like thousand. There are four backdrops for 1,000 rupees, and on Instagram I saw there are 400. One of 400 rupees. So,
Mm-hmm.
what is the ideal rate you would recommend?
So it totally depends on what backdrop you're using. So usually on Amazon that you get, those are vinyl backdrops, and again those are great to shoot at. Also with vinyl, क्या होता है कि they are like unlike chart papers, they are long lasting. Yeah, but like some situations, like especially if you're doing professional food photography, the vinyl sometimes does not work out because they are always thoda bahut it is reflective in surface. Yeah. So, but otherwise, vinyl backdrops are really great that you find on Amazon. Um, I think if you're getting like say 1,000 rupees with four vinyl backdrops, that would be like a good price. If you're using something like an MDF board, which is, I'll just show it to you guys what an MDF board looks like. So this is what, yeah. So this is what the MDF board looks like. Yeah, and if you're going to invest in this is something that is very sturdy and can work for a long term. And so both the sides of the this backdrop are like painted. So I got this from one of the person who was in. Uh, she hand paints these backdrops, and these backdrops, if you're using like a double sided and say 2:4 feet ka, it cost you around say 2 to 3,000 tak it comes. Yeah.
Mamta,
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay.
sorry.
Yeah.
Mamta, hi.
Yeah. Hi.
Sakib here again. Like I just mentioned, online stores like the Varai prop store and the Madras prop store, they
Yeah.
charge you really high. Like you're saying,
Yeah.
four backdrops for $1,000. Is that legit? Are you sure?
No. 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 So the fourth backdrops that I said for 1,000, that is for the vinyl backdrops. Yeah.
Exactly, the vinyl
On
backdrops.
Amazon.
Okay,
On
okay, but
Amazon. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So these
The
guys
variety.
charge you around 1,200 to 14 or 16
Yeah.
or 1,800 for the vinyl backdrops only.
Yeah.
That was
Just for
my
one
question. So
backdrop. Yeah. I know they
yes.
are costly. They're very costly.
So
So
if
even
these
I. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, if the ones available on Amazon are a good alternative to these, so we can definitely buy those, now if you suggest.
Yeah, you can. In fact, I'm not able to find it right now, but I have used vinyl backdrops also in my shoes. Yeah, if you can like check on my Instagram also, you will find like this one corn image. Just may have used actually a vinyl backdrop, and it's a good wood texture backdrop, and it was very cheap to buy. So
Okay.
yeah, I mean the Madras Prop Store and Varai Prop Store, they are really good when it comes to buying photography props. But backdrops I don't buy from them because they are really expensive.
Yeah,
So yeah. Good you
thank you.
pointed out that.
Hi, Mamta. This is Saurabh here. This is Kunal.
Hi. Hi, Kunal. Yeah.
I would, I would like to ask you what is the ideal size to upload a particular post or image as a post for Instagram? Like whenever I try to upload a post which is a image which is of a bigger
Mm-hmm.
size, the app
Mm-hmm.
crops it off. Like most of the part of the image is
Yeah.
cropped by
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm sure
Yeah.
a lot of us are facing the same problem.
Yeah. So, guys, whenever you're shooting, especially on your phone cameras, you have this setting of changing your aspect ratio. Yeah. Abhi, most of the times, क्या होता है, when you're shooting, your aspect ratio is automatically set at 9:16, which is, like the story format or the WhatsApp का जो story format होता है, that is the size. But Instagram में, if you can select the 4:5 ratio, that is the best to shoot for Instagram pictures. And again, agar if that ratio is not available in your phone, it would be great that you shoot the image keeping in mind कि ये मैं 4:5 में crop करूंगा बाद में. So keep that in mind. So whenever you're shooting for like to post something on Instagram, make sure कि around the image, so like whatever your like scene is, you shoot that, but keep a lot of like lot of empty space around it so that वो बाद में you can crop it. Yeah.
Okay. So 4:5 works
Yeah,
for the
4 is to
post.
5 works for Instagram. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Welcome. Yeah, so it's almost we have crossed the time, but I would still like to say, take in if anyone has any more questions that are coming up. Yeah.
Hi, Mamta.
Hi.
Uh, my question is regarding that how can we select the backdrop style? For example, if as you shown that you have
Mm-hmm.
black quarter plates and you have and the images you have started, you showed that some kinds of white backdrop on the chart paper.
Mm-hmm.
So how can we select that backdrops? So it is, do we require separate types of backdrops for each shootings or something like that?
Yeah.
Can you help with that?
Okay. So initially, when you're just starting off, like even when I was starting off, I like because some of the backdrops really come costly and itna मुझे invest नहीं करना था. So I went like with 2, 3 few colors that would work with most of my food pictures. So basically, I got like a white textured backdrop. I got a gray textured backdrop, and I got like another blue color textured backdrop. Yeah. So again, there is something called as color theory that I would like you guys to look at so that it gives you more understanding of what colors look great. But initially, you're starting something in grays, browns, blacks would again, which has like a good texture on it, really work well in most of the images. Yeah. Also, when it comes to plating, make sure that your plates are of same color. ऐसे नहीं कि एक इमेज में there are like 3 different colors that are happening. So I would not recommend that. Yeah, so it's always so one thing that you can do is as a tip is जब भी कोई भी चीज आप शूट कर रहे हो आपका जो भी मेन फूड आइटम है फाइंड आउट विच इज लाइक द मेन कलर ऑफ दैट फूड आइटम या डिपेंडिंग सपोज अगर येलो है एंड आई वुड चूज अ बैकड्रॉप विच इज ब्लू इन कलर बिकॉज ब्लू एंड येलो work great. So depending on what is the main color of your dish that you're going to shoot at, you can, select the backdrop. Yeah, and if you want to really not spend a lot on buying different backdrops, so whites, blacks, grays, and browns are something that really work well on most of the things. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So any more questions anyone has? Anything that really you want to know something? if not, I will just maybe once again run you guys. Okay, there. Yeah, so if not, no more questions, I'll just again summarize the things that we learned today so that we don't forget and you can note it down. So I'm just going to share my screen. Subject. So whatever is your main subject, try to find out that. So this is the golden triangle. It's basically to place your main food items at these intersecting points, like in example over here. Yeah. And then we learned about the figure to ground is avoid cluttered backgrounds and make a good separation between what your subject is and what your backdrop is. Using natural light, yeah, and this is what the natural light setup looks at. Using a reflector so that the shadows part of our image can become lighter. And yeah, these are the 3 angles that you guys can shoot at. Yeah, so the eye level, the 90, which is like the flat lay, and then the 45-degree angle. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm just going to quickly check if anyone has any more questions in the chat. Yeah, what editing apps do you use? So for photos, again, like the video editing that I do is mostly on the professional, the Premiere Pro the Adobe Premiere Pro that we use. But for photos, for phone especially, you can get the Snapseed app. There is also Lightroom app. Lightroom is really great. It unless you want to do that. But so Lightroom is a really good versatile app that you have. Then again, the Snapseed app, which is great for editing. Yeah. It is going on and off. So I said we can use the Snapseed app and the Lightroom app. Snapseed is great for phones just for editing. Lightroom helps you to edit and as well as shoot on Lightroom. Yeah, so Lightroom is really great. Okay. Yeah, I think we can close. Yeah, Aditi, you there?
Yeah, I am. So nice
Perfect.
response. People were so happy to get their queries resolved from you. Thank you so much, Mamta, for joining in. It was a lovely session. We all enjoyed, and I'm quite sure that everybody got to learn something or the other during this session. And yeah, thank you so much, Mamta, for joining in. And we look forward to having many more such sessions with you going forward.
Thank you guys, and you guys can follow me on Instagram. I have 2 IDs. One is like my personal ID, Mamta Kalambe, and the second is Teletate Studios. So do follow and check out my work. In case you're shooting anything, do tag us in that so I can also like review those images for you guys. Yeah. So thank you so much. I hope you understood and this was great learning. Food photography is a really vast topic and it takes time to, understand, but keep practicing. That is what will help you to, be the best in your food image or even with blogging. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So, guys, do follow her to check out all the amazing work that she comes up with every week or twice a week and stay updated with all her posts. So, that is what we had in our store for the day. Thank you so much for joining in. So, we'll take a last picture at the end. So, Mamta, basically, at the end of a session, we take a group
Yeah.
selfie. So, guys, I would just
Oh,
request you all
wow.
to please put on your cameras and pose so that I can quickly take that click. Yeah, everyone, please switch on your cameras just for a moment and pose. All right, so 3, 2, 1, and here we go. Thank you. It's done. It's done. Cool. Thank you guys for joining in. Till then, see
Thank you.
goodbye, and we'll definitely see you again with our next session that is in the pipeline. So till then, bye. Have a good day.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.